And I was partying too much. I came home at like 9 a.m, like on one, and Erica was pregnant, and she's like, what are you doing, basically? And I said, well, I won't drink or party until you have the baby, because like, this is our baby, and we're in it. And so then I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna stop going to nightclubs in Hollywood and chasing the bag and running around and going to the hills and having that life? Like, I have to stop, because I told her I would. And so I just started getting tee times every single morning. That was my switch the addiction from one to the next. And so I'd get tee times at the courses in Palos Verdes, the Angeles National, Rustic, Brookside, all of the different courses here. I would just literally I went from sad and depressed on poor me feeling to then all of a sudden I have a lucky me, I have a tee time at 7.
Mr. Malbon, happy Valentine's Day to you.
You too, buddy.
Thank you.
You look great.
Thank you, you as well. So the mission of your company, of Malbon Golf, as I understand it, is now, and when you started it in 2017 was then, which is to make golf cool to young people. What was the motive behind that mission for you?
So I wrote a mission statement, and so I think mission statements are made to keep the founders or executives focused on what to do and what not to do. So we wrote out to inspire today's youth to participate in the greatest game on earth, which is obviously tennis. So basically, my son Remington golfs, right? There's tons of young kids that golf when they're 5, 10, etc. But then there's a huge departure of golf when kids get around 16, get cars, start focusing on other stuff, and want to do everything that's cool, which when I was a kid, that wasn't golf. So all of my buddies were going to the beach, they were doing this, they were doing that, they weren't golfing. So I golfed from the time I was 12 until the time I was 16. I got decent. I probably got as good as I am now, actually. I don't think I've ever gotten much better than, I could break 80, I could shoot, 75 then, and I haven't figured out how to shoot 65 yet. So it hasn't really changed that much, but golf's changed a lot. And so when we were trying to figure it out, it was everybody's a fan or a groupie of someone. So Madonna's a groupie to people. Tiger Woods is a huge fan of certain people. So young people are fans of people. And I saw Michael Jordan and Steph Curry probably inspired my son to golf more than any pro golfer, for sure. He doesn't care about Tiger Woods or Rory McIlroy at all. He loves that he played basketball, so he loves that Jordan played golf and would play before games and would go to the Olympics and play every day, and all of these stories that he started following, and Steph Curry and Schoolboy Q and Eric Costin, he knows those people and he thinks those people are cool. So then for him, he thinks golf's really, really cool, because he doesn't know about Greg Norman and Arnold Palmer and Freddie Couples like I did when I was his age. And so those names couldn't really keep me in golf, and I abandoned it when I was 16. And then I went back to art school and I caddied and started playing golf again. And then I left it alone, lived in New York for 10, 15 years, did ad agency stuff. And when I came back when I moved to LA, I started golfing again. And that was when I was 35. So basically I bailed on golf from the time I was 16 to 20. And then 20, I played 2 years in art school with the other caddies, and I was gambling and stuff, which would keep me in it. And then I left it alone totally and then picked it back up. So I'm why are kids gonna play golf from the time they're 4? Because your parents can get you to play, you can get in junior tournaments, you can do all of that stuff. But then what keeps someone golfing from 16 to 35? And historically, I think a lot of people stop, and then you come back at 30 and play until you can't play any longer. So that's not necessarily like cool, just trying to like inspire younger people that like going to Top Golf is golf, watching golf on TV is golf, playing PGA 2K, you know, wearing golf clothes. Like fashion is a very easy touch points. Like kids care about fashion. They care about, you know, hype beasts and complex and all of the different fashionable types of things. And fashion helps express who you are. So when I was, you know, like I want to wear golf stuff because if I go get coffee, I want someone to be like, hey, I see your Bel Air hat, you know, like, do you want to go play LACC? Like that happens. And I'm like a golf freak. So I was thinking like, I got obsessed with golf when I was in my 30s, and I would go to golf, Roger Dunn, and like go and try to buy stuff. And I would get like a dozen Pro V1s and a golf glove and leave because all of the apparel stuff was so golf uniform that I didn't want to dress like a European tour player and have to go back to work. Or, you know, I don't want to play golf every single morning like I do. And then all day long, I'd be like, how'd you play? How'd you play? Like, so.
So is it really about, I'm hearing that it maybe is not really about the clothes. If you're trying to get your son into the game, it's about, well, it is in one part the clothes, but it's about the people that wear them. And I think what your brand has done is brought in a lot of people from all different types of arts and entertainment.
Yeah, totally. The fashion side, like he's a big fan of Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. Because of his shoes first. Well, because of his unbelievable ability at playing basketball, and then his shoes, and then him wearing the shoes and people being like, hey, I love those Jordan 4s or whatever, saying it to him. And then he realized that he plays golf, and then he was like, golf's cool. So the apparel's just like a part of it. I think it's more like there's like a feeling with what golf is traditionally, and there's a feeling of like this new wave of like creative golfers and everything that's happening. And when you put those together, it's a feeling, and I think our brand's like a part of it or something, and people want to be a part of that feeling. So you can buy a hat and you're a part of a feeling. You can go to a golf tournament that we do and you're a part of the feeling. You can dress in PGA 2K with our apparel and you get the feeling. And so like there's a lot of touch points in how it is. It's not just like playing golf.
Sure.
It's more like the lifestyle around it and everything else.
Has the golf boom sort of accelerated the mission at all? Like, are you surprised at how fast things have developed? I mean, you started in 2017, and then 3 years later, it's the hottest game on earth.
Yeah, like our timing was amazing. We kind of started really early, and it started as an Instagram, and then we started doing tournaments, and all of my friends here. So, like 7 years ago, I would ask my friends like, "Hey, do you want to go play golf?" And they'd be like, "Hell no!" Like, no chance. And now all those same people that said that are like, hey, I just, got the new Callaway Smoke driver. So it's like, it did change. And I feel like golf has gotten insanely cool, almost like trendy cool over the last 5 years or what have you. COVID obviously helped a ton. Like even my kids, they couldn't play like basketball or football or anything like that. So it was like skateboarding, golf, boating, fishing, like it turned different sports were like on the front burner that had always been on the back burner to like team sports. So yeah, it grew a lot faster than I thought. And I kid around, like if like Drake and Rihanna played golf, it would be like a little cooler. But other than that, like it's pretty fucking cool.
It's doing all right.
Yeah, it's doing really well.
Yeah. What was your, how did you get into it at 12?
I played tennis first, and then I got a job at Hell's Point Golf course in Virginia Beach, a Pete Dye course, and I worked clean carts and picked the range. And so I think that what really got me hooked was like I was like 12, and my pops like hooked it up. It got me a job there, but all the other people were like 15, 16, 17, like just teenagers that worked at the golf course. And so I wanted to hang with them, and I wanted to be like a part of the whole situation. So then I had to get better at golf because I couldn't play with them if I was horrible and they were all shooting, 85 and I'm shooting 120. Like it's not going to work. So basically working there and having friendships with the other people who work there and some of the members and the assistant pros and shit would like get take interest in me and try to help. And my swing is like, I learned tennis first, so I learned how to hit like top spin draws and like approach shot, like low stinger cuts and shit.
Cut
like,
the legs off.
Yeah, that's all from tennis. So my golf swing is like Yvonne Lendl backhands, basically.
Are you, so you're from Virginia Beach originally. I was born out in Newport News.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah, 757. I always found it to be like quite an interesting place. I'm not sure how many people know how much culture and sports has come out of, you know, that peninsula, Ella Fitzgerald to Michael Vick to AI to Bob Saget. You know, it's all over the place. Who inspired you creatively as a young person?
I mean, I basically grew up on a hog farm that was near the ocean in Virginia Beach, and my family had a farm, and they grew wheat and corn and soybeans, and so I lived there. But then there was like Virginia Beach was like ECSE and WRV and 17th Street Surf Shop. So I think that those shops and like skating and surfing kind of like subcultures was very much a part of my life. And then our family sold the farm, and they put in like, you know, like 20, 30,000 houses on the property that were all military houses for the military base in Virginia Beach and Dam Neck. And so then immediately I was like, our house was on the farm, and then all of a sudden there were houses built all the way around it. And so these kids were flying in from like, kids from Jersey were bringing Redman mixtapes. Kids from California were bringing NWA. Like, so I was starting to get like creatively inspired by all these different young kids that were coming to the area that I would just become friends with. So instead of being this little town in Virginia Beach where you could like duck hunt and surf, that was like it. Then all of a sudden now I'm friends with like dozens of kids from all over the country. And creatively, Virginia Beach, like even those things like 17th Street Surf Shop used to do all of these like characters. They did like comics, characters in all their ads, and seeing WRV doing the branding that they did with the dolphins, like that I was like amazed that like the big wave surfers in Hawaii were like riding WRV boards, but it was just this one surf shop in Virginia Beach. I think that all had a lot to do with it. And then I got a job at Gravity Snowboard Shop, and Bushka Badel was my manager. So Bushka's from like Mount Trashmore. And I also remember like the forks from Mount Trashmore, they would put up these like tags of like a fork, and then they would burn forks in their arm. This whole like vert skating, Mount Trashmore, my mom's parents grew up, my grandparents on my mom's side lived right by Mount Trashmore. So that was all like a part of it too. And just seeing like that whole culture of like skateboarding. And then I worked at a snowboard shop, and I started going to like the trade shows with the shop. So this was all I was like 13 going to trade shows in San Diego, the snowboard show, the skate show down there, the surf show. And I think that's a lot of it came from like early like Nat Geo, reading that National Geographic magazines, and that like nature and different cultures and all that. And then basically like the like skate, snowboard and surf industries, and seeing how they were able to like brand a lot differently than like anything else I had seen.
What did you think you wanted to do with your life at that time? I
grew up as an artist, and grew up like my neighbor was like a duck decoy carving. He carved duck decoys, and his wife was a oil painter. So they lived across the street when I grew up on the farm. And my grandmother on my dad's side, she was very, very good with ceramics. So I grew up as an artist, and then I went to Votech in Virginia Beach. I went to Votech in 10th grade, where I went to school for visual communications. So I had a lady, Miss Doyle, I think she was my teacher, and she had come from an ad agency. And so we would come in and get pitched like SPCA or like, you know, no littering in Virginia Beach. They would come in with these campaigns, and they would give us like a proposal, and we would have to like go from like A to Z, but it was pretty much before the computer. So we would like airbrush posters for like Smokey the Bear. And so I did learn like visual communications and marketing and advertising stuff when I was in like 10th grade. And then I dropped out of high school and moved to Colorado. And I was painting like, candy canes and Christmas sale, holiday sale stuff on windows. I worked at Christie Sports because I had worked at the snowboard shop, so I learned retail. And so when I went to Colorado, I lived with the Virginia Beach skate Trashmore dudes. I slept like behind the couch. I live in the living room. And I was in Loveland for a year and then Breckenridge for 2 years. And then at that point, I was like, I have a talent as an artist, but I'm gonna end up, it's like some of the most fun years of my life. I'm gonna end up doing this forever and just like working on the mountain, and it's a great life. But so I went and put myself into art school in Atlanta and learned the computer and Illustrator and Adobe and Quark Express and all of that stuff.
So what did your life look like from, I guess, 20 to 35, where you stopped playing golf, and then what inevitably leads you back to playing golf again?
I partied like crazy in New York, self-medicated and just working nonstop, ran my own ad agency. We worked for HBO and Tanqueray and Nike and Toyota. We launched Scion, the car company, Scion, which would bring me out to LA often because Toyota's headquarters in Torrance. So I would come here often, but basically I was just doing everything other than golf. Like I didn't really leave downtown New York, party promoting. I ran a magazine called Frank 151 and curated that constantly. And we published around like 70 printed magazines globally. And I was going to Tokyo a lot. We were publishing in Japanese, French, and Portuguese in Brazil. So like there was a lot going on with that. And I was just basically like working creatively, and I ran an ad agency and marketing and strategy and all of that. And then when I moved here, I kept all that going, but I was starting to get burned out, not only from partying, but from like selling like Swatch watches and Scion cars, and I just started to get burnt on it a bit. And then I was partying too much. I came home at like 9 a.m, like on one, and Erica was pregnant, and she's like, what are you doing, basically? And I said, well, I won't drink or party until you have the baby, because like this is our baby, and we're in it. And so then I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna stop going to nightclubs in Hollywood and chasing the bag and running around and going to the hills and having that life? Like, I have to stop, because I told her I would. And so I just started getting tee times every single morning. That was my like, switch the addiction from one to the next. And so I'd get tee times at the courses in Palos Verdes, the Angeles National, Rustic Canyon, Brookside, all of the different courses here. I would just literally I went from like sad and depressed on like, all my friends are going to the Hollywood party, but like I can't go because I can't control myself. So have like a poor me feeling, to then all of a sudden I have a like lucky me, I have a tee time at 7, and it just switched. And so that was the flip back in the 30s, in my 30s.
So did you it sounds like you had a problem with partying.
And
golf solves it pretty immediately.
Yeah, I mean, being an addict, it's not all good, but it's not all bad either, So I just switched the addiction to another addiction, and then I just like doing flyovers on the computer, like hit 3-wood here, hit 4-iron here, driver here, just obsessed with golf, picking out my outfits, cleaning my clubs, getting it all set by the front door ready. Just complete addict,
So, if I could say, I didn't have this in my notes, but one thing that I think there may be a misperception about as it relates to you or the brand, is that because the clothes look a certain way or you hang out with a certain type of people, that among traditionalists in the golf community, that somehow makes you less of a, golf nerd. But as I understand it, you are of the 0.01% of golf nerds. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, when I worked at that golf course, I even learned how to like sand and rebuild persimmon woods and use the little the little wire or the little thread or whatever that was before ferrules and all that on the drivers, like, and then use a saw and like sand new grooves in the woods and everything. And I played like ping wood drivers, and then I switched to like TaylorMade spoon, you know. But yeah, like golf, like I think it's like, I've kind of questioned it, like, since we've been doing what we're doing, like, is like, it's hard to find someone who loves golf more than me, but at the same time, there's like endless people that love it just as much. So if you're the starter at Bannon Dunes and you love playing golf, like, I love playing with that guy. Like, I don't want to only play like municipal golf courses and wear like a wife beater and, you know, jeans. Like, that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I want to play national and Augusta National and Shinnecock, like Cypress. Like, that's where I want to play golf, you know? But that also is an intimidating for a lot of people. I mean, I grew up, you know, repairing clubs when I was 12, and still to the day, like, will like re-grip my own irons type of shit. Like, I love it, but at the same time, not everyone has the fortunate upbringing that I did to be able to work at a golf course at 12 years old and get good at golf when I was 13 or 14. Like, I could hit the ball well. And so it's been very easy for me to do it and keep trying to play better courses and better courses and better courses. But if you've never played golf before, it's definitely very intimidating by the traditionalists to some degree, because they has historically been like, if you golf, this is what you do. It's like, well, what if I also like Wu-Tang Clan? Like, don't talk about that. Like, just you're a golfer. No one cares what music you like, you know? It's just the heady thing of like how heavy it is, you know? And I think with our brand, like, we try to be like, you know, young and light versus like old and heavy. You know, it's just like, sometimes golf can be very heavy. You know, like, if my kid's wearing his hat backwards in the wind at like a stuffy course, and like they're like upset with a 10-year-old, it's like, isn't it more important that he's playing golf than like scolding him and me that his hat's backwards because it was windy? So it's heavy. Like, that is a heavy thing for a 10-year-old to go through when the starter takes the cart and rides out. It's like, you need to turn your hat around. Mm-hmm. Damn, bro. Just let the kid play golf.
Sure. Yeah, I guess everyone, there are ways that you can be a traditionalist, a sort of modern version of that, while giving, I mean, even in your collections, right? Like, you give reverence to, you know, the golf establishment, I guess. You'd bring Scarface and Rozang to Monterey Peninsula, you know, for a Bing Crosby collection.
Yeah, because like, it's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to some people, like, that's not okay.
Sure.
Which is, to me,
it's not in
weird.
the traditional algorithm, you know?
Yeah, but it's like, Scarface is a 6 handicap. Claude Harmon is his coach. He's a member of the Floridian. He's obsessed with golf.
Yeah.
Rose is cool as can be. You know, it's like me and my wife and Rose and Brad, Scarface, we went and played golf in like Spanish Bay.
It's fantastic.
It's fun.
It sounds great. What elements of golf do you really nerd out on? Like, is it the chase for the courses, playing this next great thing? Is it the score, the grind? Like,
I like hitting golf shots and getting the feeling of like greatness. And I'm addicted to just hitting a golf ball more than I am any other part of it. So like, I can go chip by myself and hit, like, visualize a shot and hit it. And so like, one time I played St. Andrews one time, the caddy was like, do me a favor today, just enjoy every shot. So I've kind of kept that with me. Like, I don't care if I lay 4 or I lay 2. If I have a chance to hit like, you know, an 85-yard wedge, and I visualize it like opening my stance and hitting like a hold off little 56 wedge and kind of chippy hold off, and I visualize it going straight halfway and then falling back to the right, hitting and stopping by the hole. Like, I don't care what the score is. I just get the feeling of greatness if I actually do what I just tried to do. It's very hard to do.
Is that the golf shot that turns you on the most? Or is it like
I like all of them. I like hitting like a pure putt. Whether it goes in or not, I don't really care. That doesn't give me gratification if I made it. It gives me gratification if like I line it up properly and I hit the purest stroke on it. So like I can just go putt by myself for like an hour and like I don't really care if I make the putt. If I'm playing golf, I don't really care what I shoot. I don't keep score. I don't care. Like if I shoot 70 or 85, it doesn't change my day. I still have to go throughout the rest of my day. And if I shoot 70, I know I could have shot 68. And if I shot 85, I know I could have shot 83. Like it's not like if I'm chasing that, it's like a never winning battle of what I shot. Like, so if I just try to hit as many good golf shots as I can while I'm out there and visualize the shot and hit it, then if I do that, then I can look back and be like, wow, I shot 2 over because I hit a lot of good golf shots.
Yeah. It sounds like something your mom said that I heard you say on your podcast with JR about building a good life.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is like if you want to play a good round of golf, you hit you have to hit a couple good golf shots. If you want to have a good life, you have to have a couple good hours and days and weeks. And
like hours turn to days, days turn to weeks turn to months turns to years turns to like, wow, I had a great life.
Yeah.
But if you set out, I'm gonna have a great life, it's like good fucking luck with that.
If I'm gonna shoot 70
good luck
today,
with that
good
one.
luck.
Yeah, it's like then you're always chasing or something. It's like, you know, if you set out to have a good life and it's like, well, by the time I'm 30, I need to be married and have 2 kids and own a house. It's like, good luck. Because then you're going to be 28 and have crazy anxiety and pressure. You know, same difference if I say, today I'm going to shoot 70 and then I go out and double the first hole. It's like, then it's not fun anymore. It like takes all the fun away.
You've set yourself up for failure.
Yeah. Even with like our brand, like we didn't set out to be a clothing brand. We didn't set out to, you know, do tournaments all over and back and have retail experiences. We didn't set out to do any of that shit. It was just like a mood board that started on Instagram to try to like show how cool and amazing golf is, because a lot of people miss that for whatever reason. So that's really all it was. And then we built a community and we built a fan base and we built a following and all of this fun stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, I think golfers probably need hats. So we made hats. Then it's like, well, I know they need polos. So then we made polos. And like, you know, now we're making golf bags. But I didn't set out like, oh, I'm gonna make golf bags or balls or footwear or putters. Like that was never the case. It's just build like a really amazing community and then figure out like touch points in their life from like brand experiences at retail and events and parties to like wedges and putters and balls and men's, women's performance. Like there's a lot of stuff coming now.
When was the first time you felt like it switched from a mood board and you were like, this has a chance to be a real like player in the game?
I was at this gala for our preschool in LA, and like I'm like a little bit like antisocial sometimes, so I wasn't really talking to any of the other parents and everything. And then some dude was like, had on like a Riviera polo or something. And then I started talking to him, you know, and then I was like, right before I met that dude, I wanted to leave. And then when I met him, like an hour later, my wife's like, we have to leave, you know? And I'm like, no, I'm talking about like fucking bounces on wedges. Like I'm in a deep conversation here. It's so important. And, so then I had an ad agency, a studio on La Brea, and we were switching studios. I had to get out of that place and I needed a new studio. So I had already gotten like maybe 30, 40,000 followers on this little mood board Instagram. And my wife's like, you only like golf anyway, and you only want to talk about golf anyway. So like, why don't we try to turn that into a business somehow, even if it's just a little pro shop, and then you can have your studio in the back. And I had already been working with Nike and with Nike Golf prior. So that was very easy to get the Nike Golf account to be able to sell like Nike Golf shoes. And they helped with bringing like in early years on Fairfax, we had our shop. They brought like Rory and Cameron Champ and Tony Finau, like all of those people would come by during Riviera this week. They would come and we would do little activations at the shop. And, but yeah, it just started off selling basically Nike, Seamus, and Jones. were like the 3 stock lists. Like if we stuff we sold, and then we would email them our logo, and they would crest our logo on their goods, whether it's a hat or a bag or whatever.
Yeah. So how, I mean, with that in mind, what is it like for you personally to fast forward now and see a former major champ, #1 player in the world wearing, your script on tour?
It's cool. It's amazing. I'm very surprised with like that. But I'm also surprised with like my kids going to school in Pebble Beach and, being a member of the Preserve and having a lovely wife and 2 dogs. And I'm surprised that my golf swing is getting better at 47 years old. And yeah, Jason Day's wearing it. We have Charlie Hall. We have Jesper Parnevik is on our team, and Lee Six. So like there's amazing. And then there's like, people like, Schoolboy Q and Yellow Wolf and Sean Malto, and like these people wearing it, I'm also very shocked and surprised and like blown away that like last night, Yellow Wolf says, "Hey, I'm gonna come by. Is it okay if I bring the 3-6 Mafia dudes?" It's like, yes.
They came to your party last night?
Yeah, and I'm like, there's like, DJ Paul and Jason Day are at the same party at a golf event. And it's like, that's surprising.
What is the most, on that note, what is the most surprising either foursome or like room you've been in that golf brought these people together?
I mean, like last night was pretty insane.
Was that it?
I mean, it's like Jason Day and like, his agent, Chris, or one of their Wasserman guys, Chris Armstrong, was there. And there's people from music and fashion and art and skateboarding and snowboarding. Russell Winfield is there. Like I lived in Breckenridge, and Russell was like the coolest dude on earth, Russell Winfield. So like having all those people together at a little retail store on Melrose Place during Riviera Genesis Open is like, it's cool. There's people from the PGA Tour there. There's people from like all types of industry people from Korea, from Japan. There's like, the buyers and the head pros of like Brentwood Country Club and Sherwood. Like all of these people are together. And I think it's like, golf's like cool because it's like an equalizer. Like no one really cares. Even Jason Day, it's like, Jason's probably not even the most famous person there, right? But he's used to being with like Nike, where he has to do like a sales presentation and like stand on the driving range in like a fishbowl, and all these people are like staring at him. It's like he's just hanging out, and no one cares that he's former #1 in the world. And like, is he more of a golfer than Yellow Wolf? Like, well, he's better. I mean, that's for sure. He's a lot better.
True.
But like Yellow Wolf plays 4 or 5 times a week. The guy lays in bed and thinks about his swing just like Jason does, and just like I do, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this. It's like at some point, everyone's the same. Whether you play really good, whether you come from this background or that background, this religion, that religion, if you're a +5 handicap or you're a 15 handicap, like it doesn't matter. So,
were you? I have to ask about the initial reaction to Jason in your clothes, because there was a lot of there was a lot of noise that came out of the golf podcast space and also the broadcast that week. And it sounded like you were maybe a bit disappointed that you thought that we were kind of past that in golf. Like, were you surprised at all that people got hung up on the fact that his pants were
No, I wasn't
baggier
upset.
than usual?
I mean, look, it is what it is. Like Jason's like, he's got 5 kids and a wife, and he's won a lot of tournaments, and he's made an incredible amount of money, and he's a very confident dude. And when I started talking with him, he's like, I hit balls at my house in Ohio in oversized sweatpants and oversized hoodies in sneakers. Like that's what I practice in, and I practice for 8 hours hitting balls. So like he doesn't like to have to put on skin tight, synthetic, flammable materials to go play golf. Like that's not what he's comfortable with doing at his house. So it's like, well, if you're comfortable in this, why don't we just take the comfort right to the course? So him wearing what everyone freaked out about a pair of pants. It's like, they're straight leg fucking chinos. Like, that's what they were. That's what the pants were, But like, I guess, however long ago, when people started wearing skin tight joggers, the traditionalists and the blogs and the media probably freaked out about that too. And now everyone thinks that's what a golfer wears, is like really tight joggers, And so, yeah, if you're wearing pants that are straight leg chinos that you could wear to like dinner, and then it's like, well, Malbon's not performance. Well, Jason Day left Nike, the biggest performance brand in the world, and he shot like 24 under at the Century, the first debut wearing our non-performance apparel, So like, do the pants or the polo have anything to do with your score? I don't think my polo makes me play better. I think if maybe a putter or maybe a ball, maybe there's some techie something or another, shafts, but like the pants aren't saving me strokes. I don't believe. I mean, maybe, but.
Could you give me, since you're much more knowledgeable in this space than me, but could you give me a brief overview of the history of baggy pants and maybe
baggy pants, to me, it's like, I just did an interview with Russell and we were talking about like drawers and dub and like jib bonk snowboarding in Colorado and like, wearing pants so big that they covered the binding and the boot. Like, that was the coolest thing to me ever. I think that baggy pants have a lot to do with like skating and snowboarding and not being restricted, maybe. And then, but like Sam Snead and Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby, like they all wore high-waisted, pleated, really, really baggy trousers. So I don't know. It's like, if golf's an amazing opportunity for anyone who's different. Kurt Cobain, I sent it to Jason, it said, Kurt Cobain said, you laugh at me because I'm different, but I laugh at you because you're the same. It's like, did Jason look different? Yeah, he's been wearing Nike for fucking 8 years. And he wore Adidas prior to that, So like, I didn't just get Jason on our team and have him become a part of our company and then like put him in the exact same thing he's been wearing. Like, he doesn't want to wear that. He wore that because he was paid to wear that. Now, and again, like with Jason, like those pants he wore, they're not even for sale.
So what do you think of Sunday Red?
I think Sunday Red is cool. I think it's, I think Tiger is obviously like, the most important person in golf for my entire life. Like, I cried when he won in Atlanta at East Lake, So like, then I cried when he won Augusta and hugged his kid. So like, I'm a fan of golf first. So like, out of respect and, like, it's not my place to really have an opinion or to give like critiques to Tiger Woods. Like, he started a brand, they did it with TaylorMade. They have a great infrastructure. They have insane production capabilities, distribution. He's fucking Tiger Woods. Like, I can't imagine that I would say anything bad about it. I wish them all well. I think they will generate, they will definitely put money into the golf ecosystem and they will do cool stuff. And I like the logo, I think there's a lot of banter and it's kind of like reminds me of when, Jason wore straight leg pants and it's like everyone's like an expert on Instagram, on podcasts, and like, yeah, anyone can sit back and like hate. Like, it's not hard. Like, Ricky Powell told me a long time ago that being a hater is a cop-out. Like, it's very easy to pick things apart and hate on, Jason's pants or Tiger's logo, but like, it takes discipline and like practice to find like the positive in stuff. So like, what Tiger's doing is great. What everyone's saying on the internet is irrelevant, and they're saying it because they're not it's like, it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, if you don't like it, then just keep scrolling. Like, you don't have to write a bad comment, a negative comment, to like make Tiger Woods' son read a bunch of bad comments, because people don't think son day should be 2 words, not 1. It's like, here we go again. Like, who cares if it's 1 word or 2? It's like, what does it bother people?
Do you feel that Tiger Woods deserves a little more respect?
I think the golf deserves respect. I think in the entire like ecosystem of what, like, golf and everything, it's like, me personally, like, I'm a fan of TaylorMade, Titleist, Mizuno, Callaway, Ping, Hanma, like.
You're a fan of the golf industry.
I'm a fan of everything golf. So it's like, I'm not gonna hate on a Callaway Smoke driver. Like, that thing looks fucking sick. I play the TaylorMade driver, but that Titleist driver looks sick too. You know, so I just like, golf is like the only sport that I've been around where, like, if it's like snowboarding, like, I rode Never Summer snowboards in Colorado, and I was like, fuck Burton. Like, Burton's like corporate, or it's like, I don't like Burton. Like, I'm over here with this, and I use, you know, NB boots, or like North Face, North Wave, something. There were certain brands that I wore, but I was like, that's all I'm going to wear. It was like, word this and not that. But like, golf, it's like, you know, like, it's have a mixed bag. You know, like Jason's bag, he's got a Ping driver, TaylorMade M3 3-wood. He's got TaylorMade irons, Vokey wedges, and a Spider putter. You know, it's like, he's not hating on Ping. Like, that's the weird thing for me. It's like, people on the internet and people wherever, they like hate on like the small brands. They hate on the big brands. They hate on Tiger Woods' brand. It's like, why? I don't understand why people do it.
I don't know. Do you think that's exclusive to golf? I mean, that seems to be.
I think it's probably all over, but I pay more attention to golf than I do other things, you know?
Yeah.
But again, I think golf is the thing. It's like, I like every single small, creative, cool golf brand that there is. Like, I like all of them. You know, I like Eastside, I like Metalwood, I like Students, I like Quiet Golf. I like, I'm a fan of like, you know, the Wedge Wizard and Vokey. I'm a fan of Tyson Lamb, and I'm a fan of Scotty Cameron. You know, like, it doesn't, I don't care. I'm not gonna pick a side and start dictating what is good and what's not good. Like,
sure. Can I ask you what you think of, or just something I'm confused about? Why is Nike leaving golf now? Like, why? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think Nike's so big that like they have certain goals that they have to make for their shareholders, et cetera. And I think that, you know, like, I watched the Super Bowl, like, both teams were wearing Nike. Like, San Fran and Kansas, they both had Nike swooshes on. So if you think of like golf, it's just not like as big as, you know, like in Dick's Sporting Goods, like, how much Nike stuff do they sell? And then how much of it's golf?
Sure.
So it's what, a 10th of it, if we're lucky, maybe a third of Nike polos versus like Nike sweatsuits.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and they kind of missed the whole COVID boom, et cetera. And I don't know if they're exiting it. I hear that their Canadian distributor, I forget the name, but their Canadian distributor is now owns the license to Nike Golf. And so they're gonna keep doing it. Exiting golf means like probably stopping these huge sponsorships, some of them, as their contracts come up. But I do know that they just signed like Gabby Ruffles, who played really, really well in the Corn Ferry last year. So they just signed her like last week or something. So they're still signing players. I think they're just not trying to sign like every Tom Kim and every, you know, Brooks. I think that takes a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I just figured they would be like, this is the time where the Nikes of the world sort of pounce on, you know, this, take advantage of
they kind of just missed it. They like sat on the sideline watching and like questioning it or something. And I think Jordan golf shoes probably have been selling better than Nike golf shoes.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, just in general, like they probably sold a lot of Nike golf shoes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that Nike's a complicated, you know, big boat, and they take slow turns. Little speed boats are ripping by them, and they're like, "Fuck, I'm out."
Yeah. Well, it could be a scenario. I don't know if you feel this way, but like when I went to the PGA show, I saw you at the PGA show. You guys had a beautiful booth, and it's right next to Eastside Golf, which is right next to Grayson, which is right next to, you know, a couple of other smaller brands that popped up. And it was the first time in the 5 years that I've gone to that thing where I saw the real independent sort of space like trickle in to start to fuse with the establishment. I mean, for the longest time, that show, as you know, it was equipment and trinkets and gizmos and stuff like that. And
Which I love all that stuff.
Yeah, now you had the Jane Golfs of the world roaming around with you know, Garrett Light, and it looked like that there was this new sort of landscape being formed. But it wasn't just Instagram anymore.
Yeah,
it was like this is part of the ecosystem for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. And then I think a lot of the bigger companies like Nike or TaylorMade, like they don't go, but it's like obvious they don't need to go. And TaylorMade's in every pro shop in the world. Their distribution is insane. Like, why do they need to go spend $500,000 on a booth and man a booth? Like, they're already in every retail store they want to be in. But for us, or for them and whoever else, like, we're finally in a position where we're starting to, like, you know, bigger goals and bigger dreams. Like, the goal was like to try to like do my part, or my wife and I's part in trying to make like golf a little cooler so my kid won't quit golfing, you know? And like, we've kind of done that not we, but like everyone together, the whole ecosystem of everybody in this creative golf space has pretty much done that. So now I'm looking at like, what about everybody else? You know, like maybe if Malbon, if we're lucky, maybe 10% of the golf world, probably like 2% of the golf world, like actually knows who we are. So like, what's up with the other 90% of golf? And, you know, I like to play golf with everyone. So like, I don't only want to play golf with like, you know, tattooed people.
For the record.
Yeah, for the record.
What do you think are the limitations currently that you can help ease for like the 16 to 20-year-olds that lose the game? Is it the cost? Is it access to tee times?
I don't think it's like people say like it takes long. It's like, no, partying takes long, you know, and the cost, like partying is very expensive, right? So like, it's not those things where it's like you know, I don't know what the data would say or something or another, but like, if all your homies want to go spend a bunch of money and go to Coachella and rage, you find the time, you find the money, you find the days off work, you find the hotel, you may sleep in your car, you work it out because that's what you and your homies want to do. But if it's golf, it's like, well, it's expensive and it takes too long. It's like, no, dude, partying takes way longer. You got to party and then you got to get hungover, and it's so a massive bounce back from partying, you know, but young people party. So I think it's just prioritizing, like, if all your friends want to golf, you're going to want to golf. If you're the only one who wants to golf and everyone else is like, nah, we're going skating or we're going to the beach or we're going to go get a six pack and, you know, ride fucking dune buggies, like obviously you're going to go ride dune buggies because your homies are going to do that. I think it's just like having a group of people who, you know, you enjoy playing with, you enjoy hanging with, and enjoying like everything golf has as a part of it, not just like what you shot. It's like, that's irrelevant. Like, I have more fun like texting all week and getting the bets right and talking shit and, you know, the group text, and then like driving to the course, getting there and, you know, checking the weather, and like there's so much that goes about it. I think young people too need more of like it attainable, and like golf is like, pro golf is like, it's like snowboarding in the Olympics. Like, it's like, if all you ever saw from snowboarding was the Olympics, then no one would want to do it. they're all uptight. They got all their fucking managers with them. They're tense. It's not fun. They're not laughing. They're not partying. They're not goofing off on the way to the mountain. They're like tiger fucking intensity, you know? But like what young people, it's aspirational to see like dudes throwing Cheetos at each other in the back of a van going to snowboard and like goofing off and being young and being human. And it gets so like unhumanized on tour. Where like they're scared of the media, they go sit, they're talking, they're worried about their sponsors, they're worried about their agents gonna say, they're worried about embarrassing the PGA. And it's like, that's not human. That's like defensive and like putting up this is who I am because this is who I think I should be. You know, I think golf needs like, you know, Muhammad Ali. Like they need someone who's like, I'm gonna beat everyone this week by 10 and like, they're not my friends. Later, and then just go make putts for 3 days straight and do it. But no one's like, everyone's like worried all the time.
It's possible. I mean, I don't know if what the, I think of the Keith Mitchells of the world that sort of seem to thrive when they start being themselves and kind of wonder why if you were interested in marketing yourself as a professional golfer these days, you wouldn't sort of create that character for yourself. If it's a part of you, you know, I'm sure there are many, I mean, I think the Justin Thomases of the world, I don't know for sure. I'm sure they talk a lot of shit on, you know.
Yeah, but when he's on TV and when he's on the tour, it's like, don't be that guy.
And I don't know if it's overt, that sort of like box that they create is just sort of implied, you know. That is the space.
And then you see like Keith Mitchell, you're talking about him, the guy's only won like once on tour.
Yeah.
But
like,
he's
beloved because he wears.
Everyone talks about him
because
he like tailors his pants and wears cashmere and a fucking tour fitted visor.
Yes.
Like, it's great.
That's all it takes.
I think it takes more of that, like people being like overly confident and unapologetically themselves. Like that's what you miss is like people aren't themselves. And like this is like Brooks was. Or I say was because he's like not on tour, but like Brooks is to some degree very unapologetically himself. Like I'm Brooks, I'm not trying to hang out with all these dudes. Like I'm gonna win this tournament, and he did it. You know, won a bunch of majors and like did it kind of on his own terms. Versus the other side where it's like, you know, like Brooks didn't really like. I think it's all about like the team around them. The agents, the managers, the this that are like, no, dude, you have to like, you can't act too cocky. Like, don't act too confident. This is golf. It's like, no, act confident and back up your words and play well and fucking beat all these dudes. Like, that's exciting to me.
Yeah. So, what is left on Stephen Malbon's golf bucket list?
Play Augusta National.
You just played it?
No.
Oh, you liked it? Yeah, sure.
I got to check that one off.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I think about like the senior tour. I'm 47, so like 3 years. If I play golf every single day nonstop, and it, you know, then I can maybe like try to make it my way, play my way into like a senior, like you know, a tournament or something. And
so you're gonna Monday queue for a senior tour event?
Maybe. And then also there's like exemptions, you know, so they do give exemptions on the senior tour. But I don't know. I figure if I can like stay healthy and I can stay like addicted to golf and I can practice a lot and I practice chipping and putting a lot for the next 3 years, maybe I go give it a try, you know, like get an exemption from like IMG or from someone who runs one of these tournaments and let me in. It's like, put me with Tiger, dude. Just put me with Tiger while I shoot 82 and miss the cut.
How are your tournament nerves?
Oh, my nerves are good. Like I'm better off if I have more pressure.
Okay.
So if I'm ever playing bad, I take my camera out. I'm like, would someone just fucking film me, please? If the camera's on, I'm gonna hit the ball way better than if I'm just like, tempo's all whacked out, put the camera on me, it's like, oh. Think about my coach, Ron Del Barrio, you know, he's gonna see my swing, so I'll swing better.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Yeah. All right, so I'll wrap this up. I know you're probably going to Riviera today, I'm guessing, but I guess going back to what your mother had said about living a good life, do you feel that you have accomplished that, and if so, how much credit does golf deserve?
Golf has a lot to do with it, for sure. I mean, it taught me so much when I was young, and how to like hold myself around, you know, the other kids at the golf shop when I was 12 at the pro shop and all that, and like how to remember certain things, to be polite and kind to the members. And you know, when a member would drive down the hill, I'd take a cart and fly out there to them and like, good evening, sir, or good morning, and how's your son, you know, and get their bag and all that, and then learn how to get tipped. And that I learned. And then when I went to art school in Atlanta, I didn't know how I was going to make money and put myself to college and things like this. So I just caddied because I knew that was a good way to do it. And again, then I'm playing with like John Smoltz and Mookie Blaylock and all these like crazy Atlanta group of dudes that would gamble, and they would play like 12 deep every day. And the liquor cart would just follow them. And I was one of the 12 caddies in that group. So it was fucking nuts. It was called The Boys. They play every day. So I'd do that and then rip back to art school. But I learned a ton from all that, and then like switching addictions to using golf to like stay focused and, you know, be present, and all of those things has been greatly helpful. And then it's also like very much like mental health, like walking around in nature and on the golf course, and, you know, getting sunlight and exercise and that fun stuff. But yeah, I don't know, man, I'm a work in progress. Like my life, like if I'm enjoying myself right now. This last hour with you was great, and walking with Jason yesterday was great. So yeah, I feel like I'm on the right path to like living good and being happy. And, you know, I design and I play golf, and, you know, it beats work for sure.
Thank you for the time, Mr. Malbon.
Buddy.
Appreciate
You're the
you.
best.
You are.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And if you enjoyed this episode, we strongly encourage you to become a member of the Golfer's Journal, or if you already are, to share it with your friends. As a reader-supported publication, we couldn't do it without you. We also couldn't do it without the help of our partners, and they are Titleist, Scotty Cameron, FootJoy, Linksole, Omega, Charles Schwab, and BMW. We'll see you next time on the Golfer's Journal podcast.